Okay. Originally, I was going to put up a video just sort of overviewing this and turning you loose on it. And I feel like at this first stage, I'd like you to do this along with me. So your job is to watch this video closely enough and stop it and rewatch it if something doesn't make sense, so that the job of analyzing chords at its basic level, called music analysis here, makes sense to you. And the second part of your job is to go play these out on the piano, plunk them out. If you can't play both parts in real time, play them slowly. If you can't play every single note, play just one hand and play the other hand. And just you need to get a sense of how these sound. And I'm not going to be at a piano to do that for you here. We did this one in class. And basically, when we do chord analysis, we're looking for what key we're in, and then what chords are being used to support as harmony for the melody here. And what we found is that we're in the key of C, no sharps, no flats. Seems to end on a C and a C right here. This is a clef change here, C, E, G, looks like a C chord. And some of it you can do by reading notes. Some of it you can just sort of game the system by looking and saying these are all the same. It's all C chords, it's all C chords. And you're going to find that the notes in the melody really support that. These are all C chord notes. There's a non-chord tone and a non-chord tone right there, but mostly it's all outlining that chord. And C, key of C, C chord would be the chord built on the first scale degree. So we call it the one chord or the tonic chord. And we mark chords with Roman numerals. And since this is a major chord, we put a Roman numeral number 1. Now, rather than checking every single thing, we can see that the pattern changes here, right? The notes are, one of them is part of the C chord, but the B and the G and the D and a G and then the G and then the D and the G. This is clearly a different chord. It's the 5 chord, and that's the name of this chapter. Really, all these excerpts are going to have 1s and 5 chords, and that's good. Keep it simple to begin with. And so G is the 5th scale degree in the key of C. So that's the dominant scale degree, dominant chord. We mark it with an uppercase 5 because it's a major 5 chord. Then it switches back to here. And this should be review for you because we did this in class. And then at the very end here, we have another like G, D, G. And although there's no B, really feels like a 5 chord. If you go play this, it just feels like it's setting it up. Doesn't have to have every single note of the chord there. It can imply. And through the function of where it's sitting and what chord comes next, you can tell what it is. Just like if I say roses are red, violets are, you can choose to be ironic and choose something that doesn't say blue, but we all know that's what's implied, right? Same thing here. Not all the notes of the chord, still implied. Okay, so again, with acknowledgement that I'm going through these quickly because of time, you need to plunk these out a little bit on the piano so you can hear the shifts. But again, so this is Kunal, and it's still where it looks like we're in the key of C again. C chord at the beginning, right? We've got a C and a G and a C and an E. So it all looks like a C chord. And here at the end, it's a C chord as well. C, G, E, C, and G changes clef right there. And so, and if you listen to it, it will sound like C is home and that we're in a major key. So we mark large C and a colon to say we're in the key of C. And as I go along here, you can see that this pattern is like mi, re, mi, fa, so, fa, mi, re, mi, re. You can see when it's on a chord tone, mi, right, of C. And then when it goes to re, then it's a different chord because, you know, the C chord would have do, mi, and so. I don't know that I'm in the right key. I'm probably not, but just for relative sake. So we can see this is a G, G, B, D. This is a G chord. That's not part of it, right? But so much of it was overwhelmingly G that you can see that that's just an ornamentation note. So that's the 5 chord in this key, right? And then looks very similar. It's just ornamented on top. So back to 1, back to 5, down here, 1 through 5, 1, and then here 5, 1. Before I turn the page, I'll give you something to think about. In especially classical type music and things like that, but it's true of most music, we like to change chords in a regular amount. So you see once per measure here, right? And here it went all the way to the end, and then at the very end did something different, right? Usually we like to have chord changes happen relatively evenly, not always. The place where that happens the most to like bunch up and get faster is at cadences or endpoints of the line. And so we can see here we started on a 1, jogged down to the 5, and then we came back up to the 1, all in one measure right there, as opposed to just staying on. Okay. All right. Onward. Next page. I think it's the next page. Oh, no, on the back. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this with you is because we have a couple of these that are in the minor key, and we've just barely started talking about minor keys. So again, no sharps and flats, right? This is Fur-Elise by Beethoven. Right? When we go to look at music, in addition to visual cues like no sharps and flats and knowledge like, oh, that could be the key of C, we also have to think about what does it actually sound like, because we could be in the middle of a piece where they're using accidentals to change the key that we're in, even though the key signature exists here, but you add another new flat or sharp or something and it changes temporarily. We could be in a different key, or we could be in the minor. And in this case, that's what's going on. So this is a good review from the last class. We could be in C major, but the relative minor, the minor scale or key that has the same number of sharps and flats, is A minor. And if we look here, let's go to the end of the excerpt right here. See this, we're in bass clef, A, E, A, A. This looks like an A chord to me, right? A, E, A, C, E, A, all looks like A chords to me, A minor chords, right? But we don't have to worry about this. Don't have enough information for you right now to say what chord is that, but we can start right here. A, E, A, C, E, A. This is definitely key of A minor to start with. And in scale of A minor, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? That would be a 1 chord. Now, because it's a minor chord, we use a lower Roman case numeral, okay? Or lowercase Roman numeral. Now, here's an interesting thing here. This sharp right here on the G, it doesn't mean we're in a different key. This is the harmonic minor. We talked about it in class the other day. To make your 5 chords have more pull back to the 1 chord. In other words, A is do. We want to have lots of pull to there, so it feels like we're coming home. They modified the minor scale and raised note 7 up. That's note 7 in the scale, G to G sharp, so it goes T do right there. And so as a result, E, G sharp, and B, 5 chords in most minor cases and minor keys are still major because of this altered note right there. So, but A is 1, E is 5 in the scale. It's a major chord, uppercase. Okay. This also looks like a 1 chord, very similar to there, right? Oops, wrong, right? Lowercase. Okay. And then we get to here, it looks like it's still a 1 chord. So you can do nothing here, but since it's on a new line like that, we'll put that right there again. And here's my 5 chord pattern right here. See, it's an E, E, G sharp, and a B. And I know that's not part of the chord, and I know that that wasn't part of the chord up there, but it's overwhelmingly that chord, right? You can see the patterns are the same. So that's my 5, E, G sharp, B. And here's my 1 again right there. Okay, so when we look at music, you use your ears, use your visuals and cues like key signatures. What you have to consider, is this really a major key or a minor key song, right? For instance, right here, 1 flat, B flat, okay? And you might be thinking key of F, major, but we also have to check out D minor, because if you go down D, E, F, right? That's to the 6th scale degree, that's the relative minor. They both have 1 flat, B flat. And so if we look here, see how sharp you're on your bass clef, D, 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 D. It's got nothing to do with an FAC chord. This is a D minor chord. D, 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 F, A. This is D minor. And look, we end on Ds right here. And we'll talk about that chord in a second. But this is not F major. This is D minor. Now you can write lowercase d like I did, or you could go D minor like that, but you put that as a colon to let us know when we say this is a 1 chord or a 5 chord, it's to reference what scale, right? So all these Ds right here is clearly a 1 chord, goes all the way to there, seems to be more D, D, and then F, A, D, all one chord, D, D, F, D, F. These look like they're just passing notes up and down, but we still have a framework of D, F, A, right? It's all one chord all the way through here, get to the end of the line, and we change. So it would be good if you think about what the 5 chord is in D minor. And rather than counting up the scale, just go root third fifth, DFA, right, off of the 1 chord. So the 5th scale degree will be A. And we have an A and an E, and an A and a C sharp and an E. This is at harmonic minor scale alteration again, to make our 5 chords have a T, do kind of sound from 7th scale degree back into 1 right there. So this is 1 and an uppercase because it's major. You can see we've already started to go back to what looks like 1 chords, right? Okay. I guess you could put it right there if you want. Okay. And then this is identical to here, and this is identical to here. So it looks like it's all 1. The only difference is rather than holding out for the whole of this, we're at the final cadence of the section, chords can speed up. So this is my 5 chord, A, E, A, C sharp, E, and then that resolves to 1 right there. Again, you don't have the entire chord there, but you have double D here, soprano and bass, coming from a 5 chord, A like this, you can hear T, do, near, so, do, like that. Go grab that on the piano and try that out and listen, and you'll hear that even though not everything is there, just the roots, clearly it implies D or the 1 chord. Okay, let's keep going. All right, 3 flats could be the key of E flat major, could also be C minor if you go down to scale degree 6. But if you look, E flat, E flat, E flat, G, B flat, this looks like an E flat chord. And here at the end also looks like an E flat, G, B flat, E flat, G, E flat, and then G up there. Okay, clearly this is the key of E flat major. Okay. This is fun to play through, but in addition to this going up and down the chord that looks like mostly E flat, you can, and I hope you recognize this from previous songs that we did here, you can kind of look at the left hand of a piano score, and usually the patterns in there, if they're not melodic, are outlining chords for you. They're more important in hearing the harmonies than the upper ones are. And look, we have E flat, G, B flat, and it just goes to there. So this is all 1 chord until we get to here. Now I pre-think about what my 5 chord would be, because when we get to end of phrases and things like that, it's 1s and 5s are going to crowd up together. So if I'm thinking E flat, G, B flat is my first chord, right? My 1 chord, E, G, B, but E flat, G, B flat, then root third fifth, B flat is my 5th or 5 chord, and there's my B flat, D, F, B flat, right? All right, there we go. Now you might say, like, why is that there? Why is there a flat there? It's just courtesy to remind you to play it again, because that's there, right? The natural beforehand. Okay, 5 chord. This also still looks like a B flat and a B flat. This looks like a 5 chord all the way to the end there, right? And then it's very common in this music. Whatever you did over the 1 chord, when you start up the next phrase, you do it over a different chord. In this case, the 5 chord. Same kind of figure. Notice the contour and the shapes and everything's are the same, but because we're on a different chord right now, the 5 chord, the actual notes vary a little bit. And there's my 5 chord form, and it goes all the way through to here. And then look, E flat, G, B flat, that's my 1 chord right there, and it stays 1. There's E flats, E flat chord right there. So not near as hard as you think if you're looking at a dense texture, right? We just sort of stared at the left hand and saw what was being outlined there, okay? All right, Beethoven Symphony number 5. This is the one that goes da 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 da, right? Da 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 da, right? So, are we in E flat major, or are we in C minor again? Remember, because 3 flat, C flat major, go down 2 scale degrees to D, E, C, C minor. E flat could be either one of those. But if we look here, bass clef, C and G, right? E flat, right? Now this is confusing because you're going, but that's not part of the C chord, but Beethoven's being Beethoven. He's going so, 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 me, le, so. he's putting these non-chord tones to create tension and resolve them. But do you see how this left hand here and the long notes and all that are just outlining all this C minor chord, C, right? E flat, G, right? That's what's going on here. E flat, C, G. It's all one chord right here, all the way through. And because we're in a minor key and it's a C minor chord, right? There we go. When does it change? Well, it changes right here, right? Da, 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 da. Da, 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 right? Da, 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 da. It's like here's T. See that raised note right there? Because we're in C minor. It's been brought back up to natural. G chord, G, G, B, D is my 5 chord. It's major because of this chromatic alteration. And then it goes completely back to 1 right there. And then it does this again right here. If I go too fast, stop, check out the notes for yourself. Beethoven's really big on this. 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, right? 1. Oh, look, it's another 5 chord. If I'm going too fast, well, look at the patterns. C's and G's and C's and G's. And you can see do, T, and me, or may, re, and so the chord's changing right there, right? I'm not re-scanning each one of these shapes and reading all the notes and figuring out the chord. I'm going, well, look, that's the same as there, right? The same as there. This is the same as there, plus the bass notes, right? So 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. You can check these voicings up top. The way the notes are arranged is different, but it's still C chords and G chords and C chords, right? And then 5, right? And then 1. Beethoven. Big bombastic Beethoven is not near the meanie that you thought he was. And there we go. All right. Hopefully that was useful. Again, even if you did the work with me right here, go and write everything in. Make sure that you have all the right information in the right place, and go and noodle through these pieces for 10-15 minutes so you get an idea of the sounds. Okay. If you can't get through all of them, pick the ones that look interesting to you or doable to you, and do your best with that. Okay. All right.